So last week we had Brother Joe, and let me begin. This morning, Brother Joe touched on a very Buddhist essence. He made us contemplate the karmic cycle of cause, condition, effect, and consequence. We draw that learning into our current condition and existence, as we have this precious gift to be able to think in this wondrous human experience. The lesson is a reminder that our lives is ours to narrate. It nudges us to acknowledge that we are in the driving seat of this life we wish to create. Brother Joe wrapped up the sharing with questions that made us ponder, which parts of the karmic cycle do we most and least control, he wondered. As participants from all over shared their thinking, it was plain to see that no matter the opinion, every life is an amazing journey. But the crux is still our actions determine our experiences, all the good and bad. As our souls traverse through their different lives, they collect karmic payments and debts. In knowing this truth now, what is more important is what we do next. The half an hour sharing left much for us to take and ponder and mindfully reflect. After that, Sister June shared about her journey into Tzu Chi. Sister June's journey into the Tzu Chi world was via PCBC, which stands for Parent-Child Bonding Class that is open to all in the community. She saw how her son Justin grew from the lessons on life values, and naturally her two younger daughters participated in the PCBC classes too. In the years that followed, there were opportunities to participate in varying degrees. It is important to note that learnings may come, but it is up to us, each of us, to seize. She shared about the trip up north to help with the Penang flood, the amount of hard work, clearing debris and ankle-deep mud. She saw that through devastation, there can be love amidst the impermanence. And she appreciated the family bonding in that precious experience. Sister June's whole family is now in the Tzu Chi circle through activities such as fundraising. Before the pandemic, her family is diligently at the Jing Si Hall's monthly washing. From the 21-day challenge, prayer events, home visits, and so much more, the Tzu Chi humanistic universe has given her more than what she had hoped for. Her children are all into the Tzu Chi International School, learning lessons beyond books, a wholesome, meaningful family life of giving and contributing. Indeed, all it took was a chance to enter the doors of Tzu Chi, and there she found goodness and charity, love and kindness, heart and compassion in many folds and all around. And that is my sharing for this morning. We will pass to Brother Zell right now.
Okay, Ka'an Sister Su Ching for the wonderful summary. Ka'an brothers and sisters for joining us today. We are very grateful to have with us today Brother Zell. Brother Zell Lee, we have often seen him everywhere whenever there's this Tzu Chi activity at Jing Si Hall or anywhere else. Very active volunteers. From holding high positions in commercial working world, Brother Zell later entering Tzu Chi life, and today he is one of Tzu Chi staff. Okay, before we hear his amazing transformational journey, I wish to quote from today's morning wisdom at dawn. This part when heard Masters mentioned, it reminded me of Brother Zell. In the past, we internally hide the bodhisattva practice, but outward manifested the bodies of hearers. We could say our manifestation were not true. Now we can let it be known that we are truly bodhisattva and will become Buddha. Okay, let us listen to Brother Zell's amazing journey. Over to you, Brother Zell.
Okay, and Sister Su Ching. Good morning to Sangren, Board Masters, Huang Sifu, and all the brothers and sisters. It's good to see you all this morning. Let me share my PPT. Yeah. Can you all see the PPT?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay. Hi. Just briefly introduce myself first. Maybe some of you have not met me before. So I was raised and born in Batu Pahat, Johor, and then later on studying in New Zealand for my e-commerce and information systems degree. And previously, I was in e-commerce industry for about 6 years before I joined Tzu Chi Foundation Malaysia in Jing Si. So time flies. So it's been 1 year since I've been working here in Jing Si Hall. So today I think I'll share a little bit of my journey from how I was before Tzu Chi and how Tzu Chi inspired me to change, and a little bit about what I've been working in my department now. Okay, so back in 2006 when I first went to New Zealand to study, and then I went on a trip to east of New Zealand. So if some of you may know, it's the first place on earth that you see sunrise. So over there, I had like this traveling trip with a lot of like random people. It was called the Kiwi Experience, and during that time, I didn't know why people would like to drink. I mean, drink as in alcohol. So at that time, when we are having having our dinner here in this Irish pub in Whakatane. So if you know where that is, there's a few years ago there was this marine volcano eruption in New Zealand in the White Island. So you must hop on a ferry from Whakatane to White Island. So that was where this very special affinity here in this Irish pub, where I had a few beers with the friends there, the traveling friends there. And then I realized, oh, so this is why people like drinking, because previously I didn't get it. Because why would someone want to spend a lot of their money destroying their health, wasting time, and just go drinking? So after that, a few beer over there, then I realized why. Because drinking beer actually made me more friendly, easier to approach people, and of course, it makes me happier. Just the effect of the chemical. So then from that evening, then it was a non-stop drinking drinking party, or whatever you call that is. Started from my life. So I thought, because I was in New Zealand, and that time I wanted to make the most of my time in New Zealand, because it's supposed to be a 1.5 year training program for me in New Zealand. But of course, in the end, it became 3.5 years there, because a lot of unexpected things happened. So I thought, oh, so I will be in New Zealand. So in Chinese, we call 入乡随俗, which means you are in someone else's territory or in someone else's territory, then you have to follow their culture. So I thought, okay, so this is the white people's culture, right? So people just drink. So I said, okay, might as well I learned how to drink. So it was unstoppable. So but basically, this is basically like partying and drinking almost every night. Even though I went to different countries, like I went on an exchange to Ukraine for 2.5 months, and over there I was like partying every weekend, and then like playing drinking games, and at certain time I was even drinking every night. So yeah, literally every night, like at least 1 or 2 bottles of beer was a very common thing for me. So we even had this drinking competition among our university students back in ISEC. So in ISEC, we had the culture of work hard and play hard. So during the day, we had this long conference. So ISEC was a very good youth organization back in the university. So ISEC has members or students in more than 5,000 universities and more than 100 countries actually. So it started about 70 years ago. after the Second World War. So I thought it was a meaningful youth organization, so I joined it. So during the day we worked very hard. So we were trying to make a positive change on the society and encouraging cultural exchange. So at night we were partying very, very hard. So often we played until almost sunrise. And then also we had like inter-university drinking competition, so who can drink the fastest. Yeah. So and then back in our family during Chinese New Year also we had drinking competition. So yeah, sometimes I won, sometimes I lost. So this drinking hobby polluted in New Zealand. So it brought back to Malaysia 3.5 years later after my graduation. So in Malaysia, the drinking culture in New Zealand is a bit different, because in New Zealand, if you drink and drive, or you're gonna be in very, very, very big trouble. But it wasn't the case in Malaysia. So now that I thought back, it was a very, very crazy things that we were risking getting busted by the police, all the accidents and everything. So it was a crazy thing to do back then. So 5 a.m. in the morning. So it was just a time that I got wasted, my friend got wasted, my brother got wasted, my cousin got wasted, all the people got wasted, and the weekend will be like hangover. But I never learned my lesson. So still going on and on every weekend like that. So I remember some of the experience back in New Zealand. I had to work part-time to sustain my life over there. And then after a big night of partying, like we had all the reasons to party. So if someone is leaving New Zealand, then we had party. So if someone is celebrating birthday, we party. So if someone finishing their test or exam, we party. So always reasons. So our football team won, we party. So every time there's an opportunity to party. So yeah, 5 a.m. was the average time for me to go to sleep that time. So move a little bit earlier to my age during my teenager in high school. So these few things, if some of you were around my age, you might know. So I was very, very obsessed with gaming. So I think my mom bought me the console, the thing with the cartridge. So I started playing around 4 or 5 years old. And I remember when I was in primary school, I got back home, I tossed my bag aside, and then I'll sit in front of the television and start playing games. So even until I was gaming a lot during my high school time, and I also sleep around 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, and of course not enough sleep, and I'll continue to sleep in my classroom. So my record was when I was in high school was playing 20 hours a day. And after that, during my college time, we could play from 7 p.m. until like 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning. It was quite crazy. So we say 日夜颠倒. So the day and night has been turned upside down by all us gamers. And then so after the console, I was playing computer games, and when the invention of this a smartphone, so there are like very, very interesting smartphone games which will attract gamers. So and then I started to realize this is how these developers, they're very good at try to get your attention. They try to cling on your attention to play more games. Because I remember when I was in high school, life was so boring. Like school was boring, teaching was boring, everything was boring. So I jumped into the gaming world for a better adventure in my life. So I play a lot of like role-playing games like Final Fantasy and everything, and then like try to get more excitement in gaming world. And for smartphone, they know that sometimes people are quite stressed, especially like working adults. Like maybe they feel sometimes useful in their life. But this game, they know this psychology. They make you progress little bit by little bit, just like how the Lotus Sutra said, the Buddha tried to attract you bit by bit. the easiest way and then try to get you on the Bodhisattva path. So that's the same thing as these gamers, the developers. So they try to get you attracted step by step. So they give you very easy tasks and then harder tasks, and then you get challenged, and then you want to play on to improve yourself. So I felt in Tzu Chi was a little bit that kind of experience for me as well. So from started a little bit like simple recycling, and then to little bit of like trying to help out in the camp, and then you slightly take on more responsibility. So I think it was kind of like similar path for me. So in conclusion, basically before Tzu Chi, I can say I was drinking quite a lot, like on a weekly basis, and dangerous driving. Not only when I was doing a lot of drunk driving, and I was driving quite fast. So if I was driving on the highway, that time I was driving company car. It was just a Proton, and then I could drove up to 160, 170 km per hour. So it was a very common thing back then for me. And also gaming a lot until late at night, and sleeping at 5, either because of drinking or because of gaming. And of course, I didn't I wasn't a vegetarian, so I ate everything. So here in this photo, I was in Australia. I think in one of the casino in Melbourne, I was ordering this escargot, and I was just trying to eat everything, just to experience everything in life. So for me, I was traveling for fun. I wanted to travel to a lot of new countries, that I want to learn new culture, and it was a fun life for me. Right, but things changed after I joined Tzu Chi. So it was in 2013. I was working for my uncle's company, working together with my elder cousin Gia Hao. He's also a certified commissioner a few years back. So during that time, when I was working closely with my cousin, I was in HR and admin. So I was in charge of organizing bonding activity for the staff. So after survey, I realized that we should do something more meaningful, and because some of them suggested we should do charity work. So I had no experience, and then we decided to call Tzu Chi Foundation to get any program that we can get involved in. But unfortunately, a lot of our staff, they have to be away on weekend, like balik kampung, so they have to go back to their hometown. So we have to do something during the weekday. So I called Tzu Chi, and then shortly after, I think Sister Sylvie, that time she was in charge of English group and entrepreneur group. She called me after Tzu Chi office received my phone call, and then we quickly organized a meetup with Brother Sun Hong and Sister Li Yun. So the three of them came and suggested us that we should start like a Friday a vegetarian meal. So it was for a period of 3 months, and for each month, one speaker from Tzu Chi will represent and tell us the benefit of going vegetarian. So that time I didn't even know there was such thing as a vegan, vegetarian, plant-based, whatever. Like I was not aware of that. And then so then we started this Friday vegetarian meal provided by company, free for the staff. That time it was about 30 or 40 of the staff all together. Yeah, so that was the first time I encountered Tzu Chi. So when I first encountered Tzu Chi, because Sister Sylvie was also our neighbor, and then I was following her very closely, so she would invite me and my cousin to a lot of English group and entrepreneur groups programs, such as recycling, fellowship, and a lot of things. And then I remember on the study group, they mentioned about Xun Fa Xiang. That time they say Xun Fa Xiang. I was like, I don't like Xun Fa Xiang. So for me, I thought as a Buddhist, I don't like chanting, and I don't like all those joysticks or all those making the place very hard for me to breathe. So I didn't like that kind of event. So I didn't even know what was Xun Fa Xiang. And then until the second time I went for the study group, so they actually invited more of us to actually come and give it a try. So yes, of course, then me and my cousin, we went for a try. So the first time I went Xun Fa Xiang, I was addicted to that, because I remember the first time I went, they said it was a live Dharma talk from a master in Taiwan. That time I didn't even know who was Master Cheng yet. I was very new to Tzu Chi. So we went to Kelana Jaya, Gong Xiu Su. That time was still the HQ. That time we didn't even have Jing Si Lineage. And then I remember the first time I joined, the live Dharma talk didn't happen because of some technical issue. I'm not sure in Taiwan or in Malaysia. So we were listening to Wisdom at Dawn. So that time I was listening how Buddha was expounding 苦集灭道, the Four Noble Truths, to these 5 disciples which had close affinity with Buddha. And that time I couldn't even pronounce the name of those bhikkhu at that place. So I found it interesting, and I thought Master's teaching had special attraction to me, because I think in all the teaching, Master, it was quite practical, and I found it useful that I can use it in my daily life. And then so I went on every day after that, basically every day. So that time I was still drinking. So sometimes I would be, after a party, like maybe I sleep 1 or 2 hours, and then I will go Xun Fa Xiang that time. And because of my ignorance in Tzu Chi, I didn't know a lot of the people. So in these photos, you might realize Brother Marshall is in a photo. Brother Marshall from Philippines and working in the abode now. I think he was there because of the Jing Si Tang building. I didn't even know who he was until maybe I think a few years later. And the person sitting next to me sharing was Jian Si Gu, Sister Echo Chen, CEO of Tzu Chi Malaysia KL. I didn't even know who she was. I just found that, wow, this sister, very passionate. So I remember she said, oh, you are very young, and then you are coming here for Xun Fa Xiang. Please come more often. We need more youngsters to understand more about Dharma. And then I also found her sharing was very interesting. It's not that other volunteer sharing was not interesting, but Jian Si Gu sharing was very interesting. And then Brother David Liu, Ji Yu Si Bo, was also there sharing about Philippines, how they were helping in Tacloban, in Ormoc after Hualien. I was like, wow, these 2 people, they have been sharing very amazing things. I didn't even know who there was until one day I flipped on Tzu Chi magazine, because that time I was quite new. I forced myself to read more, and I must read Tzu Chi magazine, the monthly Tzu Chi magazine from Malaysia every month. So I has been reading, and then I realized, oh, so that was Jian Si Gu, and then it was Ji Yu Si Bo. And then it was just silly jokes from me. So after Tzu Chi came to our office and introduced vegetarian to me, and then me and my cousin, we turned vegetarian during that time. And I was a vegetarian for 3 to 4 years. Then I realized that there was something called vegan, there was something called plant-based. And then I was browsing, and then I came across this recommendation that they asked me to watch this Fork Over Knives. So after watching this, Dr. Colin and his son, I think the son was a firefighter. So they actually let me realize the danger of dairy product, and of course this kind of oily food in your diet. So I decided I have to stop eating dairy. So I tried that. So I stopped eating dairy for about a few months. Then I came across this speciesism movie. Simply said is, we are all species on Earth, like whether it's a bird, it's a mammal, it's a human, it's a worm, it's a bug, it's a mosquito, whatever it is. We live on this earth, and we have the equal right, just as what Buddha said, like everyone had the Buddha nature and everyone's equal. So I reflected myself and said, okay, so I didn't have the right to consume and took the rights of this hen. They sole purpose of living is to lay eggs every day, and then just eat it and consume it. And after watching how the male baby chicks got grinded, so I decided, okay, that's it, I have to stop eating eggs as well. But back to reality, a lot of people, they get inspired, they wanted to do something, but it's a matter of how long you can keep it going. So actually, when I started to become a vegan, I didn't actually tell everyone. I was in a trial process. So I tried it for a few months, and I decided, okay, I could live with it. And then I announced to the public that, okay, I'm going vegan. So it was for me, the process was like step by step. So many people might think that, you might get malnutrition as a vegan, or you eat very lousy food, and actually it was not the case for me. But so after I turned vegetarian, and especially vegan, you realize a lot of things that you can't eat, like basically like most of the dessert you are unable to eat. But actually it makes me viewing food as an not a lot of desire for me, as long as I have to eat to survive and maintain myself, and I can live on, I can do my work, I can play badminton, I can play football, I can do a lot of things, then it was fine. So I have been donating blood regularly. So this photo was taken last month. So I was donated in National Blood Bank after they have been calling for help to get more people, because the blood level is getting low. So I just want to show that by becoming a vegan. So Master always said, I remember recently Master always said the story of how the furniture crafting master will tell the disciple, so you need to make one corner. So I will teach you how to make one corner like this. Okay, so the rest of the three corner, you should be able to follow how the craft master taught you the first way to make this first corner, and you just follow the rest. So when Master said about compassion in life, so in compassion, so you should know compassion not only to yourself, not only to human beings, also to sentient beings. So if you know about compassion, so that's why we are turning vegetarian. So I think going to a plant-based, which is a vegan diet, was also the same thing about compassion to me. So okay, actually vegan plant-based diet is not as boring as that. You only eat rice and green things, so it can be very exciting. It's just me, I'm not a foodie, so I was quite easy with food. So actually once going plant-based, last year I did my body checkup. So Dr. Fu also said that my cholesterol and everything was okay. So it means that you can also be healthy as a vegan, right? Okay, so here in Tzu Chi, along the way, I found it very interesting. So in Tzu Chi is a multi-universe. So you get to know people from different background, like different people, different religion and everything. So along the way, I'm very grateful that I get to meet a lot of entrepreneurs. So what I learned the most from them is they're very humble, and they are willing to give. They can go travel around the world, eat all the great food in the world, but they choose to come.
What are you doing here?
They try to they try to clean the toilet. They try to spend their time doing all these what we think is a normal chores of normal everyday civilian. So yeah, I found it inspiring for me when it was from entrepreneur group. And of course in TIMA that we had the opportunity to get involved, because after learning drum, so we after the water repentance musical, and then they knew some of us could play drum, so a lot of us actually approached to ask us to teach them how to play the drum. So in 2017 we were teaching this TIMA, a lot of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, how to play the drum. So it was also actually quite inspiring to see how these very busy people like the doctor and nurses, they come to train with us after their long working hours or during their weekend. And I have even seen some of the healthcare workers, they didn't even sleep, not even saying a proper sleep. They didn't even sleep the night before, and they came and joined Tzu Chi activities and take up all the responsibility. This is also very inspiring. So with TIMA, I had the chance to go to Sabah at least 3 times. And one of the time in Kota Marudu, it was a very amazing experience for me, because first time I had the chance to sleep on our Fu Hui Chuang, or the foldable Tzu Chi bed, and to be honest, it was a very bad sleep because I didn't know that I had to brought a thicker sleeping bag. So I was sleeping just on the bed. It wasn't a very good sleep.
Done?
And then for me, I didn't know that even I was quite ignorant as well. So there are like such poor people living in this rural area. So it was like an eye-opening experience for me to get involved in Sabah for at least 3 times. So of course, after joining Tzu Chi not long, and then Tzu Chi youth team approached me to join them and to try to accompanying the youth. We have this Tzu Ching, we call it Tzu Ching, is Tzu Chi youth, the collegians, their university or in tertiary education. So that time I didn't really want to join Tzu Chi youth because during my time back in ISEC in my university, I remember how hard it was to handle all the university students, and since I was in Tzu Chi, I want to have a more peaceful and calm life. But Sister Sylvie actually said, "Oh, you have to join Tzu Chi. You have to join Tzu Chi because you are still young. So you should try to inspire more of them." So I believe in her experience. So and then I joined Tzu Chi for a few years, and then because Tzu Chi, there are also a lot of Tzu Sao. So the Tzu Chi teens, they after they finish their Tzu Sao, so they join Tzu Chi. So often we need to mingle with this Tzu Sao. So and then I felt more grateful because Tzu Chi, because Tzu Sao was harder to accompany comparing to Tzu Chi. Because Tzu Chi, I think they are very pure, they're very simple, they're very simple people, they're very pure, but very sad to see once they step into the working world, they got them busy, they got married and a lot of things, so their involvement are actually very, very low. So retention rate is also very low, but I think that's a reality and we have to continue to work harder on this one. So in Tzu Chi, always accompanying them and always learning throughout different camps and international conferences. So back in once Jing Si Tang was completed, so we have a lot of camps going on there. So there will be at least 2 or 3 camps that we have to get involved in. So whether it's in Senhuo Zu, in Yizhu Zu, or Zhongwu, or in Kewu Zu, so we have to learn a lot of things during a camp. So for me, leading group was a very, very physically draining department or the functional group, because you have to wake up very, very early and you have to sleep very, very late. So I remember that time, basically you have to wake up 4:30 and sleep 12:30 was a very common thing for those few days. So it was a very physically draining events for me during the camp. And then I thought, okay, so since physically draining is okay, and then maybe I try something not so physical. So I joined the program team. So program team, on the other hand, was like was draining a lot of your mental energy. So it was even worse. So the program team also need to wake up 4:30 in the morning, and you have to sleep like 1 or 2 o'clock. So it wasn't as good as my plan. So both any functional group for me that time, because it was physically and mentally draining. And I remember during 2017, it was the worst experience as in energy draining, because there was a back-to-back camp. So it was the TIMA International Convention, and then the following week was a Tzu Chi camp. So during that time, I was so tired. The first time I ever felt in Tzu Chi that I didn't want to wake up at all, because my body was too tired from all the work during the preparation and during the camp. And there are all changes in Tzu Chi, which is very interesting. It's just like what Buddha said, things are ever changing, right? So as you thought, also every year we have 3 camps, and each camp is something like this. So you just follow the SOP, just follow the recommendation. But it was not the case, because we had back-to-back camps and arrangement was different, and sometimes we didn't have overlap camps. Like you have a Tzu Chi camp and an entrepreneur camps on the same day. So it was just a lot of learning, and you need to be more flexible. So and then we also took it to the next level. We try to they go back to Taiwan and we learn how to be a living group leader and how to be helping out in the dorm. So yeah, so this is what we've seen back in Taiwan. So we have to go through with a board master about our plan, and then even Dharma master will go through how to clean the plates and everything for the living group. So it was a great learning for our team and me personally. So every end of the year, I will go back to the abode with Tzu Ching. So, and then I will join the international Tzu Ching camp, and we would join the hospital, the Hualien Tzu Chi hospital volunteer, and also the abode volunteer. So, of course, another eye-opening experience for us. And Dharma master, abode master will always share with us when there are opportunity when the weather was not good. So I felt it was good for us to get closer to Dharma master back in the board in Taiwan. So I made returning to home and annual events for me that day. So every year I must go back to a board, whether it's for the Tzu Ching camp or the 4-in-1 camp, or I joined the entrepreneur camp together with my cousin, and then joined the international disaster relief camp before also in Hualien. So going back home, I felt closer to master and to our Jing Si lineage, and a lot of learning opportunities, and get to meet a lot of youngsters around the world. And that one of the year, I think maybe it was a 25th anniversary of Tzu Ching, and then we even had like the Greatness of Parental Love performance in Hualien, and then I think it was 2 years ago, so we had another one here in Malaysia. So from the previous experience in Taiwan that we brought it back to Malaysia, so I also had a small part to play. So everyone has a small part to play here in Tzu Chi. And for the camp in Hualien, the volunteering camp, so back in the days, during year-end celebration and New Year celebration, I was like hangover, and one of the time I remember when I was in Ukraine, we had a party. It was so bad, and then I was almost vomiting in the bus, but in the bus it was a non-stop bus, and I swallowed a bit in my mouth and I had to swallow it back. The vomit, I had to swallow it back because there was no place for me to vomit. So it was a very bad experience. But back in after I joining Tzu Chi, it was different. So every year-end celebration countdown was different. Like 1st of January, we'll be like cleaning the beach, we'll be visiting the retired army homes, we visit the prison. So it was more meaningful here in Tzu Chi. So also I had the chance to join teacher association to Ormoc Daai village to help. So it was me trying to build one Daai home over there, and we are giving seminars to them to about Jing Si aphorism for the Jing Si KD book distribution there. So I was there for about 2 weeks. So as I've heard so much about the Philippines, and why not I went there to look to witness what happened myself. So I was very grateful that they gave me a chance to go there. So also went to witness the Daai village in Jakarta. And in the abode, Master always taught us maybe like big bad habits is easier for you to change. Like for my case, like drinking and gaming, it was easier for me to get rid of. But small habitual tendency, like maybe I get angry easier, impatient. So in the abode, we try to do these very small chores, like you just dig out this little vegetation, the moss on the ground, very small things that I keep reminding me that I have to be aware of that. I have more patience, I have more compassion. So it was also part of the learning. So I think from the beginning time, so that's my dad and my mom in the photo. So I think they witnessed some of my changes in life. So they acknowledged Tzu Chi, and also I'm grateful that they joined Tzu Chi. Also they became a vegetarian. So my mom and dad also became a commissioner 1 year after me. So last year I found out that my sister also became a vegetarian. She's in Canada, and I think she joined some of the the Tzu Chi activities over there, but she's quite busy, so she tried to join as much as she can. So she became a vegan last year, and my younger brother and his wife and two children are also vegetarian. So our family are all vegetarian, and me and my sister vegan. So I hopefully maybe a step at a time, maybe one day more vegans will become in my family. So in conclusion, in after Tzu Chi, I think everyone need to spend their time on something, like they spend their time on their hobby with their friends. So in Tzu Chi, I switch a group of my friends, I switch my hobby to something else, like for example gaming to reading, like drinking games to Tzu Chi volunteers. And now I also wake up 5 a.m. instead of sleeping at 5 a.m. because there is a motive for me that I have to wake up 熏法香. So I travel with Tzu Chi instead of travel for fun. So life is more meaningful. Okay, so lastly, I can share a little bit about what I'm doing in special project department. So I joined this special department last year. So if some of you might know Brother Danny Lee, so basically he retired from this post, but he continued his work in the media department. So because of his health reason that he cannot work long hour, or maybe it's quite risky for him to fly overseas. So I joined him for his role. So I joined Tzu Chi last year because they were recruiting people to go to India. So I signed up for that. And of course, because of the pandemic, it messed up everyone's plan in their life. So that's why I'm also here, kind of like stuck in Malaysia, because my initial plan was to go to India or even that. So didn't happen. So I'm still here. So during the pandemic, I was sitting at home. I was reflecting, how is going to be in my next few years? How is it going to be when Master is not around? How Tzu Chi is going to be? So I felt that I didn't want to leave any regrets behind. So I felt that I can join Tzu Chi now. If something goes wrong, I can go back, to the corporate life or whatever, to look for other options. So, and I'm still young, and my parents are still young, so I can go for my another adventure overseas, more learning, and then I can retire back in Malaysia. So that was my plan. Okay, so in this special project team, so what we do, mainly recently this year, we are working a lot on the Solidarity COVID-19 Fund. So our department has to procure, and we have to arrange the logistic and the admin side and the distribution of this medical equipment to the hospital. So I think around now, the latest is about 50 medical institutions like Klinik Kesehatan hospital around Malaysia that we've sent to. And beside, mainly we are busy working in the Solidarity COVID-19 Fund. We also helping out in the EMCO food supplies. The people over there, they cannot come out, and they are not rich enough to order Grab food every day. So we have to send this emergency aid for them. So we send about close to 4,000 to this EMCO residents after they requested. Right. So in the Solidarity Fund, up to last week, I think we collected this amount of money, and we mainly send a lot of very expensive medical aids to them. Yeah, so of course, just now this was what I mentioned about we are sending the emergency aid for them. So there are like rice, noodles, canned oil, salt, and everything for emergency for them, because this special department is mainly about emergency and disaster. Yep, so we sent to, mainly from the beginning, we were sending a lot to Sungai Buloh, and later on, as we all know, the situation in Malaysia exploded, so we need to send to more hospital. And for my task, a lot of logistic arrangements, so by land, by sea, by air. So we have been sending aids to Singapore, India, Nepal, Cambodia, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, South Africa this year. And also we have been receiving aids from Taiwan, China, Thailand, and USA. Recently, there should be 2 40-foot containers already at port and will be arranged here, and we are also arranging to send out 140-foot container to East Malaysia, as in Sabah and Sarawak is getting worse now. So in these photos, that's a container of hospital beds that supposed to send to Sri Lanka. So I would like to appreciate this. They have been very helpful, Malaysian Airlines and Sri Lankan Air. So in this photo, Sri Lankan Air has been helping us to send this bed with air freight, because that time sea freight was heavily congested. So the embassy of Sri Lankan actually advised us to send via Sri Lankan Air. So they have been sending us, not charging us for the air freight, and Malaysian Airlines also helping us to send a lot of PPE and medical equipment to Sabah recently. They helped us to send 2 trips to KK for free. Yeah. So a lot of new learning for me, because previously I was in e-commerce and mainly on the marketing and uploading product sourcing. So with logistics side didn't really have this experience, but here in Tzu Chi, always a lot of things to learn. So I have to learn all about the pallet size, the Euro pallet, what is fumigation, what is bill of lading, what is airway bill, so demurrage charges, HS code. So a lot of learning for me, which is quite interesting. So because need to communicate with a lot of people, sometimes need to communicate with different CEO, whether it's a mass airline, need to send letters, communicate with suppliers, and even sometimes get scolded by suppliers. So a lot of communication, almost constantly on the phone sometimes. So when you face like changes in life, sometimes logistic won't arrive. What's your backup plan? So need to be a lot of flexibility available, and how you can tackle the problem, and also a lot of teamwork among us. So I'm very grateful that together with Brother Kang Lu, Sister Aichen, and Brother Chia Wei, the 4 of us always working very closely together and supporting each other. So a lot of patience among them, and always be mindful in a lot of things, sending emails, getting quotation and writing address. So a lot of things to learn. Okay, so in the end, I think I share my first encounter with Master Cheng back in 2014. It was during the entrepreneur group when we have the Yuan Yuan. And the first time I saw Master Cheng was after me and my cousin went on stage to share. And then when we came down, we bowed to Master. So Sangren was there. And then I remember the first time I saw Sangren, it was not anything close to what I've seen on TV or in books. So that time Master was very, very small, very, very thin, like looks so fragile, and like very, very deep, eye bag and black eye circle. So I thought, oh, so this is the legendary Master that have been reading and listening. So I felt sorry for Master that she has to, bear all the responsibility and Tzu Chi. So I remember Master told me, and that time when I saw Master, I was stunned for a few minutes. I was like, oh, so this is our Master. And then Master said to me and my cousin, she said, both of you are very young. Tzu Chi needs you. You also need Tzu Chi. So I think that words actually encouraged me to be more participate in Tzu Chi from that day until now. So it's the end of my sharing. I only have 40 minutes. So in the end, I would like to wish everyone happy Mid-Autumn Festival. And for me, I felt that Dharma and Master is like the light, and it's pointing me to a good direction. So during this COVID, everyone is scared, but Master is always there to guide us. So the pure and evil heart will always overcome the evil. So I hope everyone, maybe you'll be like me, you can find the joy in Dharma. So thank you and enjoy your weekend.
Okay. Hi. Good morning, everyone, all brothers, sisters, auspicious greeting to you all. Yeah, it's been a long time I didn't join this great chat group and for the sharing as well. But actually, every week I will receive the information from Sister Su Ching regarding who's going to be the sharer for the next coming Saturday or so on. But I'm so happy and I'm glad that I got a chance to come back again due to actually I have some time to share. Next week, I can't able to make it because I have to go to the kitchen to do my duty. So anyway, just now I listened to Brother Zell sharing. I so enjoy that. I think that you have a lot of fun and after you join Tzu Chi. And I think that there must be more experience that you can share with us. I think the 40 minutes is not enough for you, even though I think maybe you 1.5 hours, maybe just a minimum time for you to give maybe a 10% of what you have been enjoying for Tzu Chi activities. But I can say that you already spreading the seed of love, not just in your heart, but through your sharing. I think you also spreading the seed of love to everyone and telling us that you are really seize the moment or the opportunity of your own life, and you are actually through your sharing. I can think that you already do your personal inventory about your own life or what you have been enjoying after 2014. The first time you encountered to meet Master, and until now, and all through these years, and you have been joining, and you truly did a lot of great job for different kind of missions in Tzu Chi. So we all, I feel happy to listen and quite enjoy that. So anyway, let me to show you my sharing slide now. To be honest, last Saturday, I was not able to join the sharing section just because I was hosting the morning assembly in the board. So today I'm going to review back about what I have been shared on the last Saturday, which is on September 11th. So back to what we all very familiar with this words, Master always say in the Buddhist, we truly believe that everything in the world arises from causes and conditions. There must have certain reasons. And due to last Saturday, the September 11th, and I give this topic is spread the love of the seeds of love, because this is a song, one of the Tzu Chi song, and it happened because of this 911 events. And I believe that in every person of the mind, they must have their own great intangible spiritual training ground. And it needs to be inspired, just like what Brother Zell sharing just now. I think Bodhisattva arises due to the needs of suffering people. So as living beings have an infinitely varying capacity. So the Buddha or our Master Cheng will use an infinite number of teaching for us. So that's why we must believe that the Buddha's teaching absolutely well suited for our modern age, especially right now in this very seriously for this pandemic. So for not just for American people, but I think for all of us who know this event happened 20 years ago, which is, I think we never forget about this very scary and very shocking day of this history, not just in US, but in the whole world. And this is a major event in world history. So for the day on, the Twin Towers, a symbol of American prosperity, was completely disappeared. So, and this is back to what I always heard our masters mention about the 4 states or phenomena in the principle of physics or the principle of physiology or the principle of the mind, which is we must definitely we go through these 4 steps of this from existence or destruction or emptiness through the material or through the aging or the present our whole life, and include for the mind that we always change our mind and so on. So through the 911 events, I can say that this is we can witness this 4 steps of phenomenal these 4 principles. So let's go through the first. What I have get it to from the Dharma is while we know that the Twin Tower, actually the construction was start to begin is on 1967, which is we go through the process of the formation, and after that we go through the form of the second physics of the principles of existence, which is on 1971. The constructions of the World Trade Center have become to an end, and the story of 110 stories Twin Towers rose from the ground and become the tallest skyscrapers in the world at that time. And this is a very great project during the time, which is back to around 48 years ago. I think nearly 48 years ago, because the construction of the building start to use is 1973. But the impermanence happened after 28 years, which is 2001. And we backed the time back to September 11 on 2001 at the morning, 8:46 a.m. Actually, in less than 2 hours, it took about 102 minutes. And we know that there's the operative for the Al-Qaeda operative, the hijack for 4 commercial airlines, which is cost less than 2 hours, close to 3,000 people died in the attack. And the victims came from 77 countries, which is facing the impermanence of life and death in an instant. So this is what we witness the 4 steps of phenomenal in the principle of physics, which is the formation, existence, construction, and disappear, and the emptiness. So this is also involved to our mind. So to the people, we want happy and we want to feel it, and when we are unhappy due to the nation between the conflicts, and we start to destroy all this material thing. This is came from our mind. So, and from on that day or the next month, on October 7th, the U.S. military with British support begin a bombing campaign against the Taliban forces in Afghanistan. This is how the war, the U.S. war in Afghanistan start from carry on for nearly 20 years. So that's people's, when we create a bad karma or a good karma, it all depends. So very luckily, we joined Tzu Chi. So the Bodhisattva work to save the world because of Bodhisattva come there to see people suffering, just like the masters. And because of this terrorist attack for 20 years ago, so which is create much anxiety to the world. So our Tzu Chi Foundation mobilized this campaign, 10 or 13 campaign, which is we invite the representative from different religions to amass kindness to bring peace to the world. Because we masters say, instead of doing nothing at all, since the masters was in Taiwan and this incident happened in US, and for all of us who are living in our own country, we can't do anything. Instead of that, masters initiate the campaign and saying that spread the seed of love and to encourage people to do one good deed a day and to keep disasters at bay. So Master say we should quickly to launch or to start this campaign and encourage our volunteers or the whole world, and come together our strength of the prayer and together and to pray for the world for peace. And this is I can witness masters trying to use the 4 steps of the principle of in mind, which is telling us that we must form a good thought, and so that we change the environment, which is, we can transcend the bad, what we call is like the environment to good, and we create a harmonious environment. So, but go through this the destructions of the building. But I think that I include nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. I think if back to what the Buddha's teaching, we all believe that there is such a thing as collective karma. So as we know that the karma is the result of making decision to act in a certain way, and the decision may be by individual or by groups. But if the decision is made by a group, then the whole group will experience the collective consequences of their decision. So masters also tell us that as long as we have a good karma gather together, the surrounding can be settled. So if people who cause bad karma conflict with each other, or the man-made disaster will spread to the entire village, or maybe to the entire society, or even to the nation or the country. So this is, I want to change a little bit to my topic, is like, just for example, nowadays we very quite often to listen, and we always adapting, listen people who adapt from meat to the vegetarian, or to the vegan, or to the plant-based diet, or maybe they want to inspire the family as well, or so that sometimes they will approach, or maybe to their family and friends, that is it possible for them to change their habit of eating from meat to plant-based diet. So sometimes when they encounter some people who can't able to be a vegetarian, they might say one word in what we so-called is like 一切随缘, leave it to destiny. Master say, yeah, that's right. The cause of the suffering is also rewarded by circumstances. If we do good, or we following, we'll receive the good deed, or we do the bad, or we have arise a bad thought, definitely we will have a bad rewards to us. So this is, I think this is for me, it can link to the collective karma. So actually, in our past life, we don't know how many of these causes did we have created, but in the present, how many people are collectively creating this kind of karma. So we really don't know, but we will know until we saw the result, or we experienced the result. So it's very clear that recently masters say everyone ought to have a great purpose in coming to the world, especially for our Tzu Chi member who start to join Tzu Chi. And we know that our mission, just like to some brothers say, he been joined Tzu Chi different kind of activities, and he really truly live out his own life and trying to do different experience. So I think this is what a great purpose, such as for us, is to accumulate our wholesome action. And Master say with the pandemic, truly this is a grand lesson. So when we see such impermanence happen for life, as well as we can see there's a lot of many disasters happen around the world, and we must believe that the pandemic is related to people eating animals. This is a cause, and the condition is now we are experienced through. So which is we understand that the what it call is like how it say is like back to this sutra is remind me for this parable the burning house, there's one sentence mentioned that the three realms are created by our mind. So when our human online.
You didn't open your mic, 师父.
So can you see my slides?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. It suddenly
I think the line was disrupted.
Is it really? Okay, wait. So I forgot to do one thing. Please allow me to redo again. Okay. Okay, can everyone see my slides now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is back to 2014. It happened in Australia, Flora, have a land problem, the soil salinization. I think Sister Sharon maybe know about this. Happened in Australia for droughts. And the reason is that in 19th century, the British bring in the concept of animal husbandry. And as we know that some people bask in extreme enjoyment while we, enjoy for eating meat, while other living creatures or face the extreme suffering. I think this is the same principle applied to what we so-called the cause and condition, or this is what is due to the causation, and later on we will get through the result. So this is because we are clinging to the craving for food, and we end up spreading and accumulating the karma. So this is the result that we have many causes of suffering, and starting by the deforestation is one of the reasons when we want to raise the livestock, and we start to need to find the land for them to be settled. And finally, we receive the result is like the soil acidification or the salinization, which is the greatest concern in Australia, where there's one of the reasons we believe that the agriculture practices increase the soil acidity because due to we use the high ammonium, nitrogen or fertilizer, or we create a lot of large rates of the product removal. And so for the sake of the development for the livestock raising, so we know, who knows that how many damaging things have been done. But in the end, the karma will follow us lifetime after lifetime. Yeah, this is the truth of the causation and the causes we have accumulated. So of course, when we very happy that we have a group of Tzu Chi people, volunteers, who realize that this is a very concerned environment of the situation happening in Australia. So our local volunteer will start to cooperate with their local land care society, and they have the tree planting activities, which is carrying for 3 years. And this is what we accumulate the good karma and the good deeds, instead of we are destroying or we keep damaging the environment. But do we learn or really awaken for this subsequences that due to our craving for meat? Actually, is not, because after 4 years later, it's 2018, and another things happen in Australia is like due to the droughts, and the farmer returns to feed their cows or the calves from the hay to watermelon, because they have the what it call is like they have a tripling in the cost of the hay, and that's why the farmer couldn't afford to buy, and they came out, the idea is they feed the cattle with watermelon, due to the construction condition across the East Australia for the drought reason. So I think that most people like animals, or maybe they have their own pets and they really care about them. But I think, do you agree that sometimes our sympathy will stop out of our craving for meat or some dairy products, and we consume milk or cheese and so on, and in order to satisfy our palate and our taste, we humans would tend to hunt these animals for food, because we not treat them as a living being, but we treat them as this is a food for me to just to satisfy my it's called taste. And I like to show this photo for a couple of times for my sharing during the morning assembly as well. So masters always say that the cemetery that we see outside are not scary, but the most scary is in people's stomach, which is we eat a lot of countless beings where they are devoured and their life, and it's truly scary. So this is what we accumulate, our bad karma and care, and I think it will bring from life to life. So we don't know how many lives that we have spent accumulating karma from killing, and include eating through our mouth, and we have been digest for for so long. But how many lives that we have spent harming the earth for the sake of our business as well. So we must do our inventory about this. And so I will say that please don't raise those animals for food or allow their living to their lives to be sacrificed, because animals, not just human, they are like human. They are living creatures. They have their families and members and friends, and they have they have a feeling as well. They feel pain. So so where do we eat the eggs? Where do we eat the eggs? And actually, very close. The very close the very good eggs come from the factory farm. So it's come from the factory farm, and where chickens are debated and keep in the battery cages, just like what you see now. So if we consume eggs, whether you prefer your scrambled eggs or your shiny side eggs, or you want to have a stir-fried eggs or mix with your noodles or your fried noodles and so on, and put into your plates for your food. I think just imagine that this is what you get it from. Yeah. So I think if you didn't realize this is the animal, so maybe you say I don't consume eggs, but if you consume any daily products such as milk or cheese, this is we can go through the cows are often tied to the milking machine, which can easily lead to mastitis. And this is also common to mix with the past in the blood or in milk. So usually we will have a filtration, but always incomplete. And you probably heard that the cows might have this what so-called is a parts in it, but let's go through, because sometimes we give them the hormones, and which is the cow they in the body, they will produce this kind of unwholesome, it's very not healthy things, and which is produced through the milk. So this is one of the photo that I get it from internet. It's like in the dairy industry, this is after the filter from the milk, the cow's milk, and we get it this parts, what we call. Yeah. I don't know, is my pronunciation correct? Yeah. But anyway, this is when you consume or drink a glass of milk, this is might take a risk, because in a glass of this milk, it contains a lot of hormones, or 135 million part cells, or antibiotics, or feces from the animals, or even though for the calories or cholesterol that or the fat, all the contents that which is not really healthy to our body, not really good to us. Yeah. So after you see this, I think you still want that milk. So yeah, this is what we are, human being tended to have this kind of dairy product, but we never know that we actually torture the animal's life. So with this high production count, they produce milk on average for at least less than 3 years. So after that, they are caught because they are useless, and they will be sent to slaughterhouse, and their meat will be used for burger or beef, or maybe it's for animals. What you call is like 饲料 is 英文叫什么? Yeah. So, and not just for the mother or the older cows, but in the dairy industry, the millions of cows are torn away from their mother and sent to the slaughterhouse every year with a very huge number of that. And the reason is, one of the reasons is we like to eat this kind of food, cheese, different variety choices and different tastes, and you maybe more prefer that each day you must have this kind of things for your meal. And to be honest, all this are made from the animal rennet, which is the traditional way they will use this to make cheese. So let's see how to harvest the rennet from a calf stomach. And this is a video that I got it from internet. To be honest, is
First step is getting a calf stomach. The calf needs to still be drinking milk, because once calves are weaned off milk, they stop producing the rennet enzymes which coagulate the milk into curd. The stomach displayed here is from a calf that died at birth. This calf stomach has been shredded a little bit at the rumen end, but the abomasum, which is the part that contains the rennet, which is the part we need. This image shows close-up, becomes more obvious when the calf stomach.
And finally,
third step is to rub salt into the abomasum surface. Usually food particles would need to be cleaned from the abomasum, but in my case this isn't necessary, since this calf died at birth. The abomasum contains a gooey substance. I've left it there, suitable location. Leave it for a day or two until it's dry. Note that it probably doesn't need to be dried perfectly, and pack it into a jar with salt. These dried pieces of calf abomasum contain enough rennet to make many batches of cheese. Dry a couple of pieces of dried abomasum and leave them in a glass. It may take half an hour or so for the curd to set. Dried abomasum pieces themselves can also be added to the milk. I've only harvested rennet from a calf's stomach. Like any improvements that could be made to this process, or any mistakes I may have made in terminology or anything else.
So sorry, due to the time, I have to go through quickly. So this is normally how we get it from the food that we are eating. So and this food actually that make people unable to get it off actually comes from the baby's cows. And I think even though you want to eat the cheese, a slice of cheese, is contain the milk, and the milk is from the mother. So with this piece of burger, whether the meat patty is from the baby cow and the cheese is also from the baby cows and from the mother. And for the bread itself, the burger bread itself, I believe that the ingredients must be contain eggs or maybe contain some milk. Go through and so that it become a bun, a bread to make it. So to be honest, through this one piece of burger, actually it took how many animals' life in it. So we can do the inventory about this process. I think definitely is very scary because we really consume a lot of animals just for one piece of burger. Yeah. And even though for this kind of food, that which is I used to highlight to eat this kind of food as well. Before I become a plant-based diet, I before I stopped eating the milk or dairy product or some cheese or and so on. So I think this is not nonetheless, but I think for the daily waste, such as viscera or feces from the animals, etc., is produced from the live poultry, not only pollute the environment, but also exacerbates the risk of the avian flu spreading, and especially for this critical period of this pandemic, the COVID-19, and actually we increase the risk to get infections to get this disease. Yeah, and so food for thought. Actually, we can pick up our own choice. So if you pick up our own choice, that we believe that Buddhist scriptures tell us that when there is a pandemic, the best solution is for everyone to practice deep repentance. So with repenting our wrongs, it will be difficult for pandemic to go away. So at a time like this, and Master say is even more necessary for everyone, especially start from our Tzu Chi members, to adopt a vegetarian diet or a plant-based diet and to get a kind thoughts. And this is what we call is accumulate a good karma. And so adapting, abiding to a vegetarian diet is to respect life and to treat them all sentient beings as equal, and also to cultivate our compassion and the loving kindness towards all beings. Yeah, this is what Master says in nurturing of compassion. So imagine, put ourselves in their place, in this animal's place, so we can develop compassion and love to them. So please respect their life, their right to live to life. So nearly go to the last. I think if we believe that there is the existence of collective karma, so if we can restrain our desire from food and made from animal sources, and even not only benefit our health, and it also helps the ecological environment, as long as the good karma get together, the surrounding can be harmonious and safe. And the last but not least, like this, I get it from our Master say, a life of enjoyment is a life spent in vain. We need to take an inventory of what we have done in our life. Especially, we can start to do our inventory from eating. So, how many years we've been eating the meat, or how many years we've been stop eating meat, and this is how we can calculate, and at least you know that you are not keep continuing to accumulate bad karma and carry on for our next life. Yeah. So I end my sharing today, and sorry, I think it's over 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's 11 minutes past. Yeah, thank you. But anyway, thank you for giving me a chance again and to share with you everyone. So I do really happy to join this sharing. And today is very lucky that we have two sister masters. One is senior master's degree, and another one is our junior master's degree. They both are here with me, yeah, and also listen to the sharing, yeah, and also listen to brother Jiang's share. Yeah, anyway, thank you for your listening.
And to our boast, MasterDeHuang for the wonderful sharings, and Brother Zell for the wonderful, inspiring journey. Indeed, MasterDeHuang, great reminder for us to keep in the heart this, especially during this time of pandemic, to have repentance, to have inspired kind thoughts, observe vegetarianism, have complete love, respect all forms of life, and treat all equally, cultivating this loving kindness and compassion to all beings. Master, for the great reminder. And Brother Zell, we are very inspired by your transformational journey. It's truly inspiring for us on this, and we trust that we could hear more from Brother as Brother more on this special project journey. And we look forward to more sharings from Brother Brother. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence and your support since very early in the morning. We believe many have already joined Shin's early morning Shin Fa Xiang.